Okay. I need you to have your unit circle from yesterday and one of each of these highlighters that is on your table. Go ahead and grab a glue stick too, because you'll need it in a minute, and you don't want it to be at the bottom when you put your markers back. Okay. So, if we reflect these sets down and have just the green ones up, okay? And we're going to start with the green highlighter. I want you to take the highlighter and the ordered pairs that go with your green triangles, we're going to highlight them in green. Okay? Highlight the numbers in green. Make sense? Take the ordered pairs. Yes. And then when you reflect these down, do that with these two as well. Okay. Oh, yeah. And if the highlighters don't work, just throw them away and then grab another one from another table. All right. Then for the pink triangles, use your pink highlighter for those numbers. What if you want to what? And then yellow doesn't show up greatly on this paper, but it'll be good enough for the idea and the pattern here. All right. Because I want you to be able to look at this big picture and see that all the green numbers are the same. The only thing that changes is the signs based on the quadrant. The pink numbers are all the same. The only thing that changes is the signs based on the quadrants. And same with the yellow. There are tons and tons of patterns in this unit circle. And I'm going to show you many, many of them. Some of them come later when we're dealing with some other things. But different ways to remember this stuff that you have to remember. Okay? So this is just, I wish I'd have thought to highlight this yesterday, and I didn't think about doing that. So wanted you to have it highlighted so when you looked at it, you could see how it goes together. Okay? So we are done with that right now. Yeah, we're done with that particular circle. No, we are doing the circle. We're not doing that exact piece of paper. You're going to do a lot of paper shuffling today. I need you to grab this piece of paper that's going on page 83 when we're done. Okay? Did I? With that, I don't know. That's why I love the unit circle. It's going to continue to blow your mind. You just wait till we start graphing. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. That's why it's called tangent. Okay, so we are going to build the first quadrant. Here's why I think memorization is junk, because you can memorize things and you might know what things are, but you don't really know how they relate to each other. If you understand the big picture, you can come up with this stuff, even later on when you need it. So, talking about the radians to begin with. Here at 0, this would be 0 or 2 pi if we went all the way around, right? So then other things we're supposed to know. 180, which isn't even on here, but it's over here, is what? Is radians. Pi. So then our 90 is what? Pi over 2, right? Then 45 is what? Pi over 4, right? Then the other two special angles that we need are the 30 and the 60. One of them is pi sixths, one of them is pi thirds. What is 30? Pi sixths. And 60 is pi thirds. See? You already know that much. And nobody went home and made flashcards and tried to memorize anything, right? Okay? Just trying to understand it. Okay, so then we're going to fill in some ordered pairs. So this ordered pair is a no-brainer. What is it? 0, 1? 1, 0. Uh-huh. Be careful. It's easy, but you got to get it right. What is this one? 0, 1. These are the easy ones, guys. Okay. Then of all of the other ordered pairs that we fill in, if we ignore the signs, there's only 3 numbers that fit in there. It's the square root of 2 over 2, then 1/2, and what? Square root of 3 over 2. Those are the only three things that fit in there, right? 45 comes from an isosceles right triangle. It has the same number in the ordered pair twice, right? What number is that? Square root of 2 over 2. So this one is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Now, so we've used this one, right? Of these two that are left, which one is bigger? Square root of 3 over 2. So this one's bigger than this one, yes? So when I go to fill in this one right here, x and y, do I go to the right farther than I go up or vice versa? Which one's bigger, x or y? X. I go to the right farther, so this is the square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, which means this one is what? 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Do you see how you build that? Which when you build it, you don't necessarily go counterclockwise and just fill everything in. You might fill it in random pieces as you understand how they relate to each other. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so now we're going to look at tangent. So tangent is opposite over adjacent, or what over what? Sine over cos, yeah, sine theta over cosine theta. So that means that is y over x. So in this particular case, 0 over 1 gives me what? What's 0 divided by 1? 0. So this is 0. We're going to put a little box around it. So here, we will have 1 divided by 0. What's that? Undefined, because you can't do that. Then the next easiest one is pi fourths. Square root of 2 over 2 over the square root of 2 over 2 is what? This divided by this, a monkey divided by a monkey is 1. Okay. So then, if I do pi thirds, tangent is sine over cosine. So that would be the square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2, right? So that's the same as the square root of 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. So what's that? Square root of 3. So this one is square root of 3. Okay. Then I need to do pi 6. Well, when I do that one, that's 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. So that's just the reciprocal of this, correct? So doesn't that make that the reciprocal of the final answer? So it's really just 1 over the square root of 3, and what's that? Square root of 3 over 3. And there are your tangent values. Okay. Today we're going to look at ways to know our sine and cosine values. How to know your tangent values will come probably tomorrow. But at the top of this, I want you to write cosine theta, sine theta, and then put tangent theta with a box around it, because that's where your values are. Sine and cosine are in the ordered pairs, and then we boxed our tangent values. Okay. So for your tangent values, the quadrantals, you should be able to figure them out, okay, and just kind of know what they are, because you should know the 0, 1, 1, 0, that sort of thing. And any pi fourths angle should be pretty easy. It's 1 or -1, depending on what quadrant you're in. We'll talk about the quadrants and their signs tomorrow, because we can't get to all that in one day. And then you just have 3 or the square root of 3 over 3. Okay, you got to keep them in the right spots. 2 3s make a 6. 1 3 makes a 3. Bam. There's one easy way to remember. Okay, so that works. Okay, different ways and different. Your brains work differently than each other. I know that. So everybody has their own way that kind of makes the most sense to them, and that's all fine and good. But you're going to have to know it. Now, if I ask you, what is the cosine of pi thirds? What's the cosine of pi thirds? 1/2. Pi thirds, cosine, 1/2. It's the x value. What's the sine of pi fourths? Square root of 2 over 2. What's the tangent of pi halves? Undefined. What's the cosine of 2 pi? 1. Cosine is the x value. It's 1. Okay, you see how that's where all of that information comes from. Okay, we good with that? Yes? Okay. Now, oh, I forgot to hand out a piece of paper. One of the things I told you we're going to be shuffling a lot. I forgot to give you this. I didn't have you hand it. Yes, I know there's more. This one actually isn't going in your ISN. We're going to fill out a couple of things on here, and then you're going to hang on to it, but it's not an ISN thing. But there needs to be a lot of practice writing this stuff out. You don't have time to draw a unit circle every time you need it, honey. You're going to draw a unit circle at the door when I ask you these questions? You're not. I'm not going to let you draw anything. You got to know it. You got to picture it in your head. All right. Ashley, do y'all have time to draw a unit circle every time you need it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna flip it over. I'm going to give you 1 minute. You're going to, and there ain't no time to draw nothing. Mm-hmm. Kind of like your multiplication facts, yeah. Have what? Oh, I know. That's why they're on the wall, because you don't know them. It's kind of pathetic. And when I had, we had vertical walks, so there were people from the district that are elementary all the way through high school. When they left out of my classroom, the first question they had was, why are the multiplication facts up on the board in a pre-AP pre-cal room? And Ms. Tremont had to tell them, because they don't know their multiplication facts. And the elementary teachers were like, what? And we're like, yeah, and that's a huge freaking problem when you're in high school. It's sad, but it's true. Okay? Anyway, here we go. So we're going to look just at the radian measures right now. And we're going to build this circle in 2 different ways. Okay? And I'm going to show you some of the patterns that are in here. So it doesn't matter which side you start on. All 4 little circles are the same. Yeah, I would do it this way, because the blanks are like the fraction bars, so you want your fraction bars to be horizontal. Yeah, the receptionist. Right when you walk in, say, hey, has FedEx come? Miss Finnan needs her package. Okay. All right, so we know that this is 0 or 2 pi, right? We know that 180 is pi. We know that 90 is what? Pi over 2. So then what is 270 down here? 3 pi over 2. Okay. So 90 is pi halves. What is 45? Pi fourths. Okay, so we are going to count around this circle fractionally. Every 45 degrees is a pi fourths, right? So here, this is pi fourths. This is 2 pi fourths. That's why it's pi halves, right? So one more, what would this one be? 3 pi fourths. Then that makes this 4 pi fourths, right? One more, this one would be what? 5 pi fourths. This becomes 6 pi fourths, which is 3 pi halves. Then this is what? 7 pi fourths. Then we get to 8 pi fourths, which is 2 pi. Okay? So do you see how you can count around if you need to? Now, all the other ones that are blank still, and including the quadrantals that we filled in, every little angle is another 30 degrees. We just skip over the fourths. Okay? But there are 30 degrees on each one of them. So this first 30 degrees is pi sixths. We already know that, right? So if I count in sixths, this would be 2 pi sixths, which is really what? Pi thirds. Then this is 3 pi sixths, which is pi halves. So then this is, and you don't have to write this over here, I'm just going to so you can see it. This is 4 pi sixths. What does that reduce to? 2 pi thirds. So 4 pi sixths, this becomes what? 5 pi sixths, right? Then another one is 6 pi sixths, that's why it's pi, right? Then this is what? 7 pi sixths. Then this is 8 pi sixths, which reduces to what? 4 pi thirds. Then this is 9 pi sixths, which reduces to 3 pi halves, right? Then I have 10 pi sixths, which reduces to what? 5 pi thirds. Then this last one will be what? 11 pi sixths. Okay? So that's one way to count around the circle and get everything filled in. Now, I want you to look at what's happening here. Look at forget the quadrantals for just a minute and just look at these sets of 3 all the way around. The denominators. All the 6s are closest to the x-axis. All of the 3s are closest to the y-axis, right? So it goes 6, 4, 3, 3, 4, 6, 6, 4, 3, 3, 4, 6. Okay, does that make sense? You see how that works? Okay, because it's all reflections of each other as far as the denominators are concerned. Now, we're going to have to know the first quadrant. No big deal. You really already do, and you don't even realize it. Then look at what's happening here. Do you see how the numerator is 1 less than the denominator in each one of these? So if you know it's 3, 4, 6, the numerator is just 1 less than the denominator each time. Then here, you get your denominators in. The numerator is 1 more than the denominator. You see that? So 7, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3. And then this is 5, 7, 11. Okay? So if you know where the denominators go because of the symmetry that's in there, you're going to be able to get the rest filled in. And that's what we're going to do on your next circle. Okay? We're going to fill in the exact same information, but we're going to go about it a different way, like a different way to think through it. So flip this over or fold it in half so you only see one circle. It doesn't matter because we're only going to fill in one more together, then you're going to keep this, and the other 2 are for you to practice. And when you do it, I would suggest you fold it where you only see one circle so you can just practice filling stuff in. Okay? All right. So now, we're going to start kind of the same way. We're going to say, okay, well, this is 0 and 2 pi. We should be able to get our quadrantals in pretty easily. What's this one? Pi over 2. This one is pi. And this one is 3 pi over 2. Then we should be able to handle the first quadrant, right? Because our 30 is pi over what? 6. 45 is pi over 4. And 60 is pi over 3. Okay? So if we know that much, we're going to get the rest, we're going to get the denominators in. Okay? The denominators by our reflections. So if this is 6, 4, 3, this has to be 3, 4, 6. Then when this reflects down here, this is 6, 4, 3, and this is 3, 4, 6. Okay? Everybody good with that? So in the quadrant 2, all of the numerators are 1 less than the denominator, which makes this 2 pi. Well, the number, I mean, there's a pi in there too. It's not technically 1 less, but then this is 3 pi in the numerator. Then this is 5 pi. In quadrant 3, it's 1 more. So this is 7 pi, 5 pi, and 4 pi. And then quadrant 4, you just have to know that it is 5, 7, 11. Okay. And look, I don't have my unit circle memorized, and neither does Mr. Ackerman. We were having this conversation the other day after school when we were talking about the unit circle. He said, I keep trying to tell my kids, I don't have it memorized. I just understand how it works. I said, same thing. Because you have to know what quadrant you're in given an angle. So if there's nothing. Okay, so if you have 7 pi 6, my brain goes like this. All right, well, 6 pi 6 is here, so 7 pi 6 puts me in quadrant 3. You see how that works? And then 2 pi thirds. Well, 3 pi thirds puts me here, so 2 pi thirds is in the second quadrant. Like you just go 1 more or 1 less, basically, than one of these two. And that's how you're going to figure out your quadrants easily. Okay, everybody good so far? Okay, so I want you practicing a little bit, like blindly looking at a circle, trying to fill it in, and then checking yourself. Okay? It's going to be no big deal. We practice a little bit at a time. Okay? I'm going to, let's see. Oh, we got to do the hand trick. All right, so grab your hand that you have, and let's talk about the hand trick. This is going to be a lifesaver for you. There you go. Okay, so you're going to take this hand that you have, and you're going to place it down on top of the hand that's on the paper. You're going to take your glue stick. You are only gluing the palm of the hand down. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put some glue right in the middle right here, like that. And then I'm going to flip it over. And I know there's stuff written there, but it's fine. I'm going to glue it down. So this is representing your left hand palm up. Okay? So if you look at your left hand with the palm up, your left hand represents quadrant 1. Your pinky is the x-axis. Your thumb is the y-axis. Your middle finger is at pi fourths. And then these two are at pi thirds and pi sixths. Everybody hold your left hand up. Do you see how it represents the first quadrant? Your pinky is the x-axis. Your thumb is the y-axis. Your ring finger is pi sixths. Your middle finger is pi thirds. Your pointer finger is pi fourths. Your middle finger is pi fourths, and then your pointer finger is pi thirds. You see how that works? Okay. So what we just wrote, what we just glued down on top of said square root number of fingers over 2. That's what it said. Okay. So here's how this works. You take your ring finger here, which represents pi 6. Let's write a pi 6 on there. That's what's underneath it anyway. And you fold it in. And we're literally going to fold this piece of paper. Boom. Okay? Yeah, we are not making gang signs. Unless you want to be in a pre-cal gang. We can be in a trig gang. We'll make our own gang. Okay. All right. So when you have this, you have an ordered pair that goes along with it, right? The x value is the cosine. The y value is the sine. These 3 fingers to the left of what you have folded back represent cosine. This one represents sine. It is the square root of the number of fingers over 2. You have 3 fingers right here. So that's the square root of 3 over 2. That is your x value. You have 1 finger over here. What's the square root of 1? 1 over 2. Boom. That's your ordered pair for pi 6. Once you bend this finger back, you have 3 here and 1 here. Square root of 3 over 2, square root of 1 over 2. It's the number of fingers that are there. I'm not sure what you don't understand. Got it? Okay, so then this is pi fourths. Right? So when you're using your own hand, you're going to bring your middle finger in, and then you have these 2 fingers here, right? 2 on either side. So we're going to bend this in. Your ordered pairs. You have 2 fingers over here. That's the square root of 2 over 2. You have 2 fingers over here. Square root of 2 over 2. You're going to look like you're playing air guitar when you're doing this stuff and taking quizzes. It's quite fun to watch. I see y'all are all over there thinking and doing this. Okay. All right, so then this represents pi thirds. I'm going to bend this back. To the left here, we have 1 finger. Square root of 1 is 1 over 2. Here, we have 3 fingers. That's the square root of 3 over 2. Those are the main ones. I'm going to show you that it works for the others, although I don't think you'll need them. You should know what those ordered pairs are. But here, where this one is 0 or 2 pi, when I bend this back here, this gives me the square root of 4. What's the square root of 4? 2 over 2 is what? 1. And you have no fingers left over here, so it's 0. Then up here, this is pi halves, right? If I bend my thumb back, then I have 0 fingers to the left. I have 4 over here. Square root of 4 over 2 is 1. Okay, and there you go. So when you are expected to know what is the cosine of pi 6, here's what you do. Here's your hand. Pi 6, right? So I bring that back. So for pi 6, cosine is the square root of 3 over 2. Sine is 1 over 2. Does that make sense to you? Pi fourths, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Pi thirds, 1/2, square root of 3 over 2. Okay? All of your answers are right there. Okay? We good with that? On your fingers. All right. Now, I'm going to hand out your assignment. I'm going to tell you what I want you to do and what I don't want you to do yet, because there's some stuff that we haven't talked about because I wasn't sure how much time it would take. Huh? We're going to get to that tomorrow. The reference we're going to have to get to tomorrow.
So this was on 84?
Yes. Did the other one go on 83? Yes, the hand, thank you. The hand goes on 84. The other one will go on 85. You could go ahead and tape it in if you want to, because it won't be that big a deal to write on it. Just don't lose it. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper, and that's part of what's on there. Yes, we already did one together. I want you to fill it out on your own without looking at what you have. Then check what you have and make sure you're right. It's fine if you check it afterwards and then everybody gets 100. Like, I'm fine with that. If you just copy it down, I won't know, but you're not going to learn it. I mean, that's what it boils down to, okay? Then the other side, okay, y'all listen very carefully, or you're going to be confused and stressed out when you leave. So you're going to try to fill that out the best you can with everything we already filled out on it, and then double check yourself, okay? Then the rest of what's on this side, so this part right here, I don't even want you doing that yet because there's some things we need to talk about before you worry about that, okay? On the other side, though, I do want you to try and figure these out. So, for instance, on number 3, cosine of pi fourths. That's why I just taught you the hand trick. This is pi fourths, right? So that means cosine is the square root of 2 over 2. That's your answer to number 3. There is no work. You're supposed to know it. Nobody's figuring anything out. Like, that is the answer. Square root of 2 over 2. The cosine of pi fourths is the square root of 2 over 2. That's all it means. Sine of 5 pi thirds. All right, what's your reference angle for 5 pi thirds? Pi over 3, right? Okay, so first in your mind, what's the sine of pi thirds? Use the right one. This is, the sine is square root of 3 over 2, okay? So then we look at this, you have to know what quadrant you're in. Okay, I haven't given you the little trick to remember certain things, but what quadrant is this in? 4. This is in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, would your y value be positive or negative? Negative. So it would actually be a negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Try them. This is not due tomorrow, but if you actually practice with this today, you will have questions for me tomorrow possibly that we can go over. I want you to try it. You need to try it. Those other 2 blank circles that you have, try and fill out at least the radian stuff on there. Okay? Little bit at a time. And I'm going to give you more and more stuff to help you understand it. Okay? Are we good? What questions do you have?